Congratulations on being at the National Invitational. Congratulations to your teachers as well. We are excited to hear what you've learned and to hear about the topic of immigration policy, which is obviously really in the news quite a bit now. I know you've worked really hard leading up to this moment, so deep breath, and we're excited to hear from you. I'm Ellen Iwamoto. I'm at the Annenberg Public Policy Center at the University of Pennsylvania and sitting here in Philadelphia.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jeff Owen. I'm in the Washington, D.C. area where I've worked for over 40 years with a trade association. I retired a couple of years ago, and welcome and good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to hear from you. My name is JC Polanco. I'm an attorney here in New York, and I live in the Bronx. Can't wait to get started. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to read the question and then we'll hear from you. So, Unit 6, what are the responsibilities of citizens? According to the American Immigration Council, immigration law in the United States has been built upon the following principles: the reunification of families, admitting immigrants with skills that are valuable to the U.S. economy, protecting refugees, and promoting diversity. Does today's immigration policy reflect these principles? Why or why not? What are the major cultural and political issues regarding immigration that face America today? What changes, if any, should be made to our current immigration policy? And should the United States admit more refugees in view of the worldwide crisis of displaced persons? And why or why not? The floor is yours.
The immigration policy of the United States today reflects the values of the American Immigration Council. Senator Robert F. Kennedy said, "Our attitude towards immigration reflects our faith in the American ideal." Prior to the Immigration and Naturalization Act of 1965, immigration was based on a quota system. However, with the new policy, there was a greater importance placed on reuniting families, attracting skilled workers, and protecting refugees.
The American Immigration Council promotes the reunification of families. The family-based immigration category allows U.S. citizens and legal permanent residents to bring certain family members to the United States. However, Trump's zero-tolerance policy was contradictory to this ideal when parents were prosecuted at the border and their children were placed under the care of Health and Human Services. Immigration policy also promotes admitting immigrants with skills that are valuable to the U.S. economy by allowing 140,000 employment-based immigrants. It promotes protecting refugees from conflict, disaster, extraordinary conditions, and a well-founded fear of persecution in their country. Finally, the policy promotes diversity by preventing any group of permanent immigrants from a single country exceeding 7% of the total amount of people immigrating to the United States in a single physical year, not to ensure that certain nationalities make up 7% of immigrants, but rather a limit that is set to prevent any immigrant group from dominating immigration patterns in the United States.
U.S. immigrants comprise about 14% of the U.S. population and 27% being the U.S.-born children. According to the Census Bureau data, there is a range of cultural and political issues. Cultural issues today include discrimination alongside speaking and learning the English language and finding jobs, which are crucial parts of living in America. An additional issue is that it is difficult for immigrants living in America to find jobs since the credentials gained from their home country aren't as highly regarded. Another instance of discrimination is due to the fear of terrorism targeted towards refugees, specifically in the Middle East. These people come from areas with ongoing conflict, and fear of them being part of a terror group leads Americans to overlook the hardships of the Middle East and discriminate against the entire group of people, rather than looking for ways to determine the few that could be terrorists or conspiring with terrorists. Much of the current debate covers the southern border of the United States with Mexico. There has been a focus in strengthening our southern borders. However, since 2007, the number of people who enter legally and overstay their visas outnumber those who arrive by crossing the border by about 600,000, according to the Center of Migration Studies.
One way to fix our current policy, according to U.S. Senator Rob Portman, is to make the process faster, addressing that one of the reasons that immigrants choose to enter illegally is due to the sluggish wait times which encourage illegal entry. He also states that securing the Mexico border will be a crucial part in future reform, the goal being to deter people who come illegally, making it harder to get in without using the legal system. One policy to adopt would be ending chain immigration. According to David and Serna, policy analyst for Homeland Security, reunifying immediate family members should remain our priority, but those relatives should not be able to bring in all of those related to them, creating a web of external family members. Another policy to adopt would be an employment-based immigration system by using the market to determine those who will provide the most benefits to the American economy. An employment-based system is in the best interest of the U.S. in order to ensure that green card recipients are employed and significantly contributing to the economy. Their legal permanent resident status would be conditional for the first several years. Only those who fulfill their employment obligations would be allowed to remain in the U.S. during this time. These initiatives, if done correctly, could greatly reduce the number of illegal residents while increasing the number of legal residents.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I'm just like taking a lot of notes here. You guys are really giving us a lot of good information. So we're just going to have some follow-up questions here. And one of them is, so we talked a lot about federal policy. Do you think state governments should have power to regulate immigrants or immigration, and why or why not?
Well, it was Hamilton's idea that we should have the split between the state and federal governments. And in Federalist 21, he believed that the federal government should be able to protect a blanket of protection around the state governments in times of need, such as war times.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, I do. Thank you. I was writing.
Oh, Anna, were you going to say something? I'm sorry, Jeff.
Anything else?
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Jeff.
Anna, did you have something to say? Okay. Let's talk about the wall. Should the U.S. build a wall along our border with Mexico to help stop the flow of illegal immigration? Why or why not?
No, sorry. You can go first.
I believe that we should not build a wall because I just feel under John Locke's natural rights philosophy, it was never specified that only American citizens have the rights to life, liberty, and property. And it was said as man, women, and all human beings. And I feel that the wall completely oppresses that idea from immigrants. For instance, at the border, there are children being taken from their families, and children aren't necessarily property of their families. However, I feel like that is a big part of their life.
Federalist paper number 6 also describes the need to have connections with other foreign nations. So to divide that border between Mexico and America would be very downgrading for our future economy and social ability.
Great, thank you. Any JC? You're muted.
I'm interested in what you have to say regarding those that are that come to the United States and are undocumented. They also may come with their children, and now it's them and their children here. You know, the U.S. started a program under President Obama called DACA. What do you think about this program? Is this a program that should be renewed? Should it be changed? Is this something you think should even happen?
I believe that this program should be renewed because I feel that the border, as I said before, is just really oppressing to the immigrants. However, for instance, it was believed in Federalist 34 that the reason that we have foreign affairs was to make us look better, and that the foreign affairs should help us build up our nation to help benefit the common interest.
I agree with my partner. Like we stated in our speech, Americans have been oppressing other countries like the Middle East. So to renew the doctrine, to renew this program would be beneficial for the refugees who are coming to the United States and the trust in which the Americans have to other people who are coming from these oppressed areas like the Middle East.
I believe that we should have more rules in our Constitution, though, that help address the idea of immigration. For instance, states such as California, Arizona, and Texas all argued that their undocumented immigrants were straining their resources, whereas other states argued that they said that the federal government was not doing their job to secure the nation's borders. And I believe that Alexander Hamilton would not agree with that idea that the federal government did not do their job, because he would believe that it was the state's government responsibility to make their own immigration laws.
To add on to what my partner said, the issue of COVID-19 would also cause an issue for this program. For there isn't as many jobs as there were a couple of years ago. To bring in more people would create an issue with poverty, rising the amount of people who are not able to have jobs and not have homes than the ones who are in the middle class to upper class, who are able to have a stable job and continue their lives in a stable way.
During the Alien and Sedition Acts, they raised the waiting period for citizens from 5 years to 14 years. And I believe that it was unfair to specific citizens who came here. And it was also thought by the founding fathers that we should have ended immigration. And I feel that that was unfair to those, especially during World War II, coming over from the Holocaust as refugees. It was unfair.
I disagree with my partner. I believe DACA created jobs, and they will create more.
Anybody else? Great. Okay. I think we may squeeze in one more question. Should we encourage new immigrants to become U.S. citizens? Why or why not?
I believe that we should encourage more immigrants to become citizens. For instance, it was believed by our founding fathers that all U.S. citizens should be educated on the ideas of popular sovereignty, limited government, and their individual rights, and they should know how to perform those individual rights. I just feel that our citizens today are not really educated on those ideas, and they are not following the intentions that our founders had laid for us.
Another thing would be to add, in Federalist 21, Hamilton described that a blanket should be put around the states to protect them, their citizens. If you're not a citizen, you wouldn't be given as many rights in terms of protection from other foreign nations. That doesn't mean, or yes.
At the same time, I believe that down at the border, we currently have a lot of overcrowding, and during our current pandemic, it is causing a spread of the pandemic. And I feel that that will lead us to another quarantine, which could possibly close more jobs and create a dent in our economy.
How much time do we have left? Just a few seconds. Quick question on the employment based system. Could you expand a little bit more on the government's role in finding them employment? You tied it to citizenship and evolving into the population here, and you mentioned that there was a role for government.
Well, I believe that government's job should be to create more laws to help establish those ideas of immigrants having more opportunities. When an immigrant comes over to America and they are on American ground.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Right.
Big question for a few seconds.
Thank you very much for your presentation, your answers to the follow-up questions. I know it's not easy to be thinking on your feet with these follow-up questions. Obviously, you've put in a lot of work to your opening statements and have very well informed. I liked all the times that you cited numbers, or you cited when I say numbers, figures or sources where you got your numbers from. I heard a lot about the Federalist Papers and Alexander Hamilton. And I think to base a lot of your answers on, primary sources like that is very important. Congratulations. I think you did a great job.
Yes, I second that. It was well prepared, and I was particularly struck by how you underpinned a lot of your discussion with some of the founding principles of this country. One of you mentioned John Locke, and there were several references to the Federal Papers and to Alexander Hamilton. So you were able to take this from the topical stuff that we've all been dealing with here in the last several years, but also build a structure underneath it with our founding fathers' principles. So I thought it was good. One little suggestion: you've got a lot to say. And this isn't a criticism. This is totally just a suggestion, because I've done this a few times. Just slow down a little bit, because you have a lot of stuff to get out. And the good news is you're very well prepared and very excited, and in all good ways. I thought this was a very excellent presentation. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much. I couldn't agree more with prior judges' statements on your performance today. I thought you applied the Federalist Papers very well. I didn't know that the Federalist Papers could be applied so well so many times. You did. So I want to thank you for that. And it goes to what Judge Iwamoto mentioned before about how much we can learn from you. And I think we learned a great deal today from how you were able to apply our founding principles to some of the more modern issues that we have. So I think you did a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.